Ladies and gentlemen, listen, let me make one thing clear. Most of you don't fail because you're stupid. You fail because you don't give a shit. You wake up every day acting like life is a rehearsal. You scroll, you moan, you whine, you wait. For what? For someone to come drag you out of bed, slap you with purpose, and hand you the life you think you deserve. Let me wake you up. Most people live their entire lives under the illusion that someone is coming to fix it all for them. They sit around waiting for a savior, for a miracle, for the right moment, for some invisible hand to lift them out of their misery and drop them into success. Let me be brutally honest. No one is coming to save you, not your parents, not your friends, not your boss. Not even the government. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you'll stop being weak and start becoming dangerous. You've been sold a lie. The system wants you dependent. They want you lazy, confused, compliant. Why? Because people who wait for help are easy to control. People who constantly look outside themselves for salvation are predictable. They can be fed distractions, medicated with comfort, and kept in line with fear. But the truth is this: if you want to rise, you must become your own hero. No one owes you anything, not your dream job, not your physique, not your confidence, not your money. You owe you. Every second you spend whining about what you didn't get is a second the elite spend sharpening their weapons. Every hour you waste playing video games or sleeping in is an hour the winners are building empires. You don't need more support, you need more strength. You don't need another motivational video, you need a brutal wake-up call. This is it. There is no perfect time. There's only now. You might be broke, you might be broken, but guess what? Everyone who made it started from zero. The difference is they didn't wait, they didn't beg, they didn't look around for help, they became the help. You think life is unfair? Of course it is. That's the rule, not the exception. But here's the twist: life rewards those who refuse to be victims. You can cry or you can conquer, but you can't do both. You think the world gives a damn that you had a rough childhood? That you got cheated on, that you're tired? It doesn't. But if you fight through it, if you build despite it, the world starts to notice. The world bows to those who don't bow to their circumstances. Look around. The system is designed to make you soft. Comfort is killing you. Streaming platforms, cheap dopamine, processed food, instant gratification, all of it exists to keep you sedated. You're being programmed not to care, not to fight, not to rise, and it's working. But not for long, because once you realize no one's coming, and it's all on you, that's the moment you become dangerous. Dangerous people don't ask for permission. They don't wait for a green light. They move, they strike. They build their own kingdom with blood, sweat, and ruthless consistency. They don't cry when it's hard, they laugh. Because they know hard is what forges killers, warriors, kings. It's your life, and right now you are the reason you're stuck. No one else. It's your habits, your decisions, your excuses. You can keep pointing fingers, but let me tell you, every finger you point is 3 fingers pointing right back at you. You don't need a rescue, you need a rebirth. You need to burn the old version of you to the ground, the lazy, emotional, weak one, and replace him with a savage who doesn't wait to be told what to do. He does it. Understand this: power doesn't come from waiting. Power comes from action, discipline, relentless pressure. That's how you win. You do what others won't. You wake up when others sleep. You work when others whine. You train while they complain. You read while they scroll, and eventually you rise while they rot. Nobody is coming, and that's a beautiful thing. It means you're free. You don't have to beg anyone to change your life. You don't have to depend on anyone to unlock your potential. You hold the keys, so what are you going to do with them? Waste them, or use them to open doors others can't even see. You've been lied to long enough. Time to start telling yourself the truth. You are not a victim, you are not helpless, you are not weak, you are simply undeveloped, and the only way to change that is to put yourself in the fire. Every day, without fail, without mercy. From this moment on, every choice you make writes your story. Every action you take builds or destroys. There's no neutral ground. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not climbing, you're sinking. It's time to stop waiting, time to stop hoping. Get up, own your life. Take the throne. No one's coming, and that's exactly why you will win. Every weak man has the same disease. It infects his thoughts, poisons his actions, and guarantees he will never become powerful. It's called the victim mentality, and if you carry it, you are already defeated. You could have the intelligence, the genetics, the potential to win, but if your mind is wired for blame instead of responsibility, then you are no threat to anyone, not even your own mediocrity. The victim mentality is a seductive little drug. It gives you temporary relief from responsibility. It tells you it's not your fault. It whispers you had it harder than others. It strokes your ego and excuses your failure. It convinces you that because of your childhood, your parents, your trauma, your environment, you can't succeed. And once you believe that, once you internalize that message, you have surrendered all your power to forces outside of yourself. And guess what? The system loves when you think that way, because it means you'll never rise, you'll never fight. You'll sit, scroll, complain, and consume, and powerful men will keep winning while you convince yourself that you were just unlucky, that life wasn't fair to you, that the game was rigged. Let me break it to you clearly. Yes, life is rigged, but not in the way you think. Life isn't rigged against you, it's rigged in favor of those who take ownership. The man who accepts that everything is his fault gains infinite power. Because if it's your fault, you can change it. If it's your problem, you can fix it. But if it's always someone else's responsibility, then you will forever remain a spectator in your own life. And spectators don't build empires, they just clap for the men who do. You can keep blaming your past, but it won't pay your bills. You can keep blaming your ex, your job, your city, your parents, but that won't build your physique, your business, or your discipline. Every minute you spend blaming someone else is a minute you could have spent building yourself into something terrifyingly competent. People will say, "But Andrew, you don't understand what I've been through." No, you don't understand what it takes to win. Do you think powerful men never suffered? You think they were all born into money, love, and comfort? No, many of them came from hell, but instead of crying about it, they used it. They used the pain as fuel, the abandonment as fire, the trauma as a forge to sharpen their mindset, because there are only two responses to pain. You either let it define you or you let it refine you. The man with a victim mentality lets the world tell him who he is. He lets hardship make him weaker. He gets slapped by life and crawls into a corner. He plays the same sad story on repeat until everyone gets tired of hearing it, including himself. But the man who takes responsibility becomes a weapon. He sees the pain and says, "Good, now I've got something to fight against." He doesn't deny that bad things happened, but he refuses to let them own him. He sees every problem as a challenge, every loss as a lesson, every betrayal as a test of his discipline. And here's the thing, no one is going to hand you your power back. You have to seize it. That means no more excuses, no more "why me," no more hiding behind weakness and pretending it's humility. Owning your life doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means standing up and saying, "No matter what happened, I'm responsible for what happens next." That's real masculinity. That's strength, and that's how you escape the victim trap. You will never be perfect. You will fall. You will fail. You will face things that are genuinely unfair. But you don't get to use that as a crutch. You use it as a sword. No one is going to feel bad for you long enough to change your life. At some point, the world tunes out your tears. You know what people respect, results. You know what gets you paid, performance. You know what builds confidence. Confrontation with your weaknesses, your habits, and your lies. So stop blaming the world. Stop crying about how hard it is. Of course it's hard. That's what makes it worth it. The very fact that most people fold under pressure is what creates opportunity for the few who don't. If it were easy, everyone would be rich, disciplined, jacked, and respected, but they're not, because they all believe someone else is the problem. Be different, be dangerous, reject the lie that you're a victim, rewire your brain to believe this truth: everything is your fault, and that's the best news you'll ever hear. You wake up tired, you feel unmotivated, your emotions tell you to skip the workout, delay your goals, binge on distractions, and push everything important to tomorrow. And most of you listen. You follow your feelings like a lost dog following breadcrumbs, hoping somehow that softness will lead to success. It won't, it never has, the truth that no one teaches you, but every real winner lives by, is simple: discipline is more important than emotion. Your emotions are liars. They fluctuate like the weather. One day you feel invincible, the next you feel worthless. But here's the catch: reality doesn't care how you feel. The world rewards action, not emotion. It rewards consistency, not mood swings. If you only work when you feel good, you'll lose to the man who works no matter how he feels, because that man is dangerous. He's forged in discipline. You think you need to feel motivated to act. That's your first mistake. Motivation is the spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning when motivation dies out, and believe me, it will die out. There are days you'll want to quit. There are mornings you'll wake up with no drive, but that's when your real character is tested. What do you do when you feel nothing? The weak man waits for permission from his emotions. He says, "I'll train when I feel ready. I'll start that business when I'm in the right headspace. I'll work on my purpose when life calms down." And guess what? He never starts, because his entire life is ruled by temporary emotions instead of permanent standards. He's reactive, not strategic, emotional, not intentional, but the disciplined man, he doesn't negotiate with weakness. He doesn't ask himself how he feels. He gets up. He does what's necessary. He keeps the promises he made to himself long after the mood he made them in is gone. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Understand this: greatness doesn't care if you're tired. The gym doesn't care if you're sad. The market doesn't care if you're stressed. Life is not a therapist, it's a scoreboard. And while you're out here arguing with your feelings, there's a man out there grinding through the same pain, the same struggle, and still getting it done. That man will beat you every time. Discipline means showing up whether you like it or not. It means doing the work without applause. It means mastering your mind so your body obeys. It means replacing emotional excuses with powerful execution. And the best part, discipline is a skill. That means it can be trained, built, and sharpened like a weapon. Start small if you must. Set one task today that you don't feel like doing and do it anyway. Wake up early even if you're exhausted. Take the cold shower, hit the workout, read the book, make the call not because you want to, but because you must. The more you do this, the more control you gain. You become mentally tougher. You become immune to the laziness that infects the masses. You start moving like a machine while everyone else collapses at the first sign of discomfort. And that's when everything changes, because now you're not driven by emotion, you're driven by mission. Look, emotions will always exist. You're human. You'll feel sad, angry, exhausted, distracted. That's fine. Let those emotions visit, but don't let them drive. They're passengers in your vehicle. You are the driver. You set the direction. You control the gas pedal. And if your emotions try to take the wheel, slam their head on the dashboard and remind them who's in charge. Because here's the reality: the man who can act in spite of emotion, he's unstoppable. He builds habits that compound. He builds momentum while others stall. He builds discipline that becomes armor that protects him from mediocrity, procrastination, and the temptation to settle. And once you realize that discipline is the ultimate freedom, everything clicks. You stop being a slave to emotion. You stop waiting, you stop losing, you become focused, relentless, powerful. You go to war every day, not because you feel like it, but because that's what warriors do. The gym, the grind, the goal, none of it cares about your mood. All that matters is this: did you do what had to be done? Discipline is what separates the kings from the cowards, the builders from the beggars, the legends from the losers. So if you want to live a life most men will never touch, then stop worshipping your emotions and start obeying your standards. Every day, without fail, without feeling, discipline over emotion always. Most people are walking through life dead inside because they don't care about anything deeply enough. They drift, they complain, they dabble, but they never fully commit. And the reason they never reach their potential is simple: they don't give a shit about their purpose. They don't live with intensity, hunger, or direction because they've never chosen something worth fighting for. And without a purpose, you're just another soul lost in the crowd, reactive, weak, replaceable. Purpose isn't some magical feeling you find in a book or meditation retreat. Purpose is chosen, it's forged, it's a decision you make when you're sick of being soft, tired of being average, and disgusted with your own excuses. Purpose is when you say, I will become this man, no matter what it costs. And once you choose that, once you decide what your mission is, everything starts to change. You wake up with fire in your gut. You stop hitting snooze. You start training like your life depends on it. You work when you're tired. You move forward even when the path isn't clear. Why? Because now you care. You give a shit. You've got something that matters more than comfort. The man with purpose is different. He walks with weight in his steps. His eyes have focus. His words are sharp. He doesn't flinch when life hits back. He hits harder. He doesn't get thrown off by petty distractions or short-term pain. He knows what he's here for, and that makes him dangerous. Let me explain why purpose creates power. When you give a shit, you stop tolerating your own laziness. You stop allowing failure to feel normal. You hold yourself to a higher standard, not because someone's watching, but because you've committed to a higher version of yourself. Every action becomes intentional. Every hour matters. You start building momentum, and momentum breeds power. But most of you haven't made that decision. You're still half in, half committed. You kind of want to win. You kind of want to change. You kind of want to get rich, get strong, get respected. But kind of doesn't cut it. Kind of gets destroyed in this world. Kind of is the language of weak men. You don't stumble into greatness. You go all in. You burn the boats. You give your time, your focus, your soul. You make purpose your obsession, your reason for breathing. And when you lock in like that, the world starts to move for you. People sense it. Opportunities appear. Discipline becomes automatic. Even your enemies respect you because you're no longer casual. You're on a mission. Purpose makes pain irrelevant. You stop whining about being tired because your mission demands endurance. You stop caring about temporary losses because you know your future is bigger than your past. You become immune to the nonsense that breaks other men because you've built your identity around something eternal. Without purpose, you'll never last. You'll quit every time things get hard. You'll doubt yourself. You'll need constant motivation just to do the basics. But once you give a shit, truly, deeply give a shit, the motivation becomes internal. No one needs to remind you to show up. No one needs to push you. You're already at war with yourself every day, sharpening the blade. You don't rise in life by accident. You rise by purpose. Driven obsession, you rise by telling yourself, this is who I am now, and I'll die before I give this up. You need to figure out what your mission is, not someday, not next year now. Ask yourself, what kind of man do I refuse to be anymore? And what kind of man will I become instead? Burn that image into your mind. Build a routine around it. Build habits around it, build discipline around it, and most of all, build respect for yourself. Because here's the truth: no one respects a man who doesn't give a shit. Not even himself. You want strength, give a shit. You want success, give a shit. You want to become someone you can actually be proud of. Then get serious, lock in, care enough to suffer, care enough to sacrifice, care enough to dominate. Purpose isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, you will drift, you will drown in comfort, you will die a slow, quiet death full of regret. But with it, you become unstoppable. So stop playing, stop pretending. Pick a mission, own it. Give a shit and never let go. Your future isn't waiting for you in some distant fantasy. It's being written by the choices you make right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. The version of you dream about, stronger, richer, more disciplined, more respected, that version is built today, through your actions, your habits, your mindset. Every second that ticks by is a fork in the road. You either move closer to power, or you sink deeper into weakness. There is no pause button. You're either building or breaking, period, but most people live like time is infinite. They walk through life like they've got a second round, like they'll get serious after the weekend, after this job, after the stress dies down. They treat their future like a wish list instead of a battlefield. They think they have time to waste, time to chill, time to coast. And then, one day, they wake up broke, soft, average, wondering where all their potential went. It didn't go anywhere. It was wasted day by day by their own hand. Success is not some magical outcome that shows up after years of random effort. It's a result of urgency, ruthless urgency, understanding that every hour you spend slacking is an hour your competition spends gaining. Every time you delay, someone else is outworking you, outlearning you, outperforming you. The future doesn't belong to the talented. It belongs to the committed, to the men who act now. You keep saying you want to level up. You say you want the body, the business, the respect. But your actions expose you. You say you'll start grinding tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. You say you're serious, but you skip workouts, avoid discomfort, and waste hours scrolling. You want results with a lazy process. You want rewards without sacrifice. It doesn't work that way. You get what you tolerate. You get what you consistently pursue. And if your daily actions don't match your goals, you don't deserve those goals. Harsh may be true, absolutely. The only way to create a future you're proud of is to dominate today. Your discipline today shapes your opportunities tomorrow. Your intensity today sharpens your mind, body, and instincts. You're not preparing for a moment in the distant future. You're preparing for war right now, and war doesn't wait. War doesn't care if you're tired, overwhelmed, or uninspired. You either show up ready or get crushed by someone who is. That's why every single day matters. That's why urgency is the secret most men never learn. You think you're young. You think you've got time. Look around. Men younger than you are millionaires. Athletes younger than you are world champions. Leaders younger than you are changing industries, not because they were lucky, but because they started earlier. They treated their time like gold while you treated yours like trash. You want to win? Then stop wasting days. Start making your habits non-negotiable. Wake up early. Train harder than you think you need to. Read until your brain hurts. Build skills that pay. Cut out losers. Block out noise. Focus every damn day. Because one day, the future you've been dreaming about is going to arrive, and you're either going to meet it as a prepared warrior or a pathetic spectator. You're either going to reap the rewards of your discipline or be haunted by the consequences of your laziness. Time is your most valuable weapon. Use it with precision. Kill your bad habits before they kill your potential. Build discipline before regret becomes your only teacher. You don't need more time. You need to stop wasting the time you already have. Everything you say you want, the money, the strength, the freedom, the respect, it all depends on what you do today. Not next year, not when you're ready, today. And if you let today slip by, if you treat it like it doesn't matter, you've already lost. But if you lock in, if you act like your future depends on today, because it does, you'll separate yourself from 99% of people instantly. The future is not built in the future. The future is built in the present, and every decision you make today is casting the vote for the man you become. So ask yourself, are your actions today worthy of the life you want tomorrow? If the answer is no, fix it. If the answer is yes, double down. Because whether you rise or stay the same, your future is watching. And it's being built right now.